I don't think a lot of people are ready to
No,
once they start looking at the fact that they have to be completely self-responsible.
exactly. You have to take responsibility for your actions. That's the point of it. Being a sovereign means that you're taking the position of government. You're actually being completely responsible. You're doing no harm to anyone. You're not participating in any illegal or unlawful activities. But it is a very freeing position to be in because you're basically rejecting all of this fictitious, all of these weird laws. And for example, now here's a couple of things. Our land agent sent us a letter, which was a notice of water restrictions. And I thought that was very strange because I thought that rain happened naturally and that, I didn't realize the government controlled that. And anyway, I had a look at a few things and a few original documents. And actually, if you look in the Australian Constitution, which, by the way, is just another bit of policy, right?
Yeah.
But it does actually state in there that the states are not to restrict the use of water by its citizens. And there's a few other really interesting, when you do the research, when you actually look at old documents, for example, if you look at I think it's the Money Act or it's actually the Currency Act, and it's an early one. It would have been about 1800s or something like that. Now, I had a look at this the other day, and it said that any colony of Britain is not allowed to actually create any paper money, and that if any governor allows this to happen, that they're to be charged, I think it was £1,000 at the time, and to be removed from office. Now, if you look at the Commonwealth of Australia, which is a colony of Britain, we're making all of this fictitious paper money, and I'm wondering, hang on a second, why is this happening? Because this is a law that was passed, and in the law it actually says that this is not to be changed. This cannot be overturned. I sent this to the Governor General the other day.
Oh my gosh!
I said, "What's going on?"
Let's go back to like the referendum and things. My understanding is, a lot of that. I mean, it is completely illegitimate, as far as I'm told, because of the fact that the Queen shouldn't even be running our country. Is that fair enough to say? I mean, obviously, I'm still learning myself.
Yeah, I should point out to you that the Commonwealth of Australia is a company, a private company. It's not a place. Okay, so if you get onto the American website for the government, where you can sort of check out company registrations. I mean, in Australia that's ASIC, but I don't know what the one is in America. But if you get onto the company registration site and just do a company search for the Commonwealth of Australia, and you'll find that its registered business address is in Washington, D.C. Okay, so the Commonwealth of Australia is not a place. It's a private company, and it's owned by another company called the Queen in right of Australia. Okay, now you'll also find that Australia, I think, is a company, not a place, and it has a flag. And so I see all of these buffoons. I see all these stupid 16, 17-year-old kids out roaming around the streets, yelling Aussie, 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 and draping themselves in this flag. And I went up to some the other day. If you're listening out there and remember me, you'll know I was the one asking you if you knew that you're actually supporting a corporation and not a country. And they were very angry about that because they believed that it was the country that they were supporting. And I said, look, I've got nothing against the landmass known as Australia. I think it's a great place to live. I said, but I'm in no way going to be carrying around the flag of a private corporation, supporting them in all of their illegal activities and their sort of unlawful rule over us.
It's like running around with a Coca-Cola flag.
Exactly. There's no difference. And now, can you imagine if Ronald McDonald came round to your house and told you what to do?
Oh,
did he?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, all of those sorts of companies like McDonald's, they have policy, right? Everyone's got company policy, and the only people who have to follow the company policy are the employees. So if you think about that, if they're expecting us to follow their policy, the first thing I want to see is a copy of the policy, but then I want to have a look at the employment agreement, and then I want to know where the hell all of my back wages have gone.
And that
yes, it's a funny system.
So let's talk about this exemption account.
All right.
This. Can you take us back to some people who haven't ever heard of that term before, what it is and how it's formed?
All right. It's really quite easy. The term exemption means that you're exempt from something. Now, you've probably heard of tax exemption. It's a similar sort of thing in the sense that, okay, if I asked you to do something, Adam, but you had no way to possibly do it, I mean, you would have exemption because you don't actually have any remedy. Now, everyone is entitled to a remedy.
Yes.
And, okay, so because essentially there is no lawful money in circulation backed by anything of value, it means that you have exemption from paying. All that you can possibly do is accept an offer or a presentment or a bill for value. So you're saying, okay, look, I accept what you're saying, or I accept your presentment for value. I accept that it has value, but because I can't do anything about it, I don't actually have any money, I'm accepting it for value and returning it for value, because the only thing that we have which is actually worth something is our signature.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you something. All of you who are listening out there are going to be very, very annoyed when you hear this. Okay, this is something that I only discovered recently and that I am helping people with at the moment. All of you who have got credit cards or personal loans or house loans or car loans or whatever that might be, I have to tell you now that all of you created the money that was loaned to you. Okay, and you did that by creating a document, an agreement, okay, and signing it. And when you signed it, it became essentially a promissory note. Okay, so you're actually saying, yes, I promise to pay this amount, blah, blah, blah. And the bank does something very sneaky, whether it's the bank or the credit card company. They take that promissory note and they deposit it into their account as a credit.
Mm.
Right, so they just created, let's say your loan is for $20,000, okay?
That is nothing.
There was nothing in their account before. So you just created $20,000 in their accounts in the bookkeeping. And then they turn around and they use that $20,000 and they create a check or an electronic transaction and they credit your account so that you've got the $20,000 that you created, okay? Now,
yeah.
at that point in time, theoretically and actually lawfully, that agreement is settled now because there's been equal consideration, and every contract has to have equal consideration. But they don't. They then unlawfully ask you for the money back, so you actually pay twice and interest. Okay, and if you don't pay at all, they'll come and take your real property away.
Hope everyone enjoyed that.
Okay. So and now here's the real ice cream on the top of the cake. Okay?
That.
Okay. So and now here's the real ice cream on the top of the cake. Okay. Now some of you may have seen a website called Pen or Pin. Okay, that's PEN or pin.com. And I started noticing this the other day when I go to the checkout at Woolworths, and there's a little sticker on the ATM thing, and it says Pen or Pin. And I went, oh God, like they're actually admitting it now, that they're actually saying that your PIN number is the same as your signature, right? And it's quite obvious, but we don't actually think about stuff like that.
I hadn't thought about that.
Right. So what actually happens with your credit card is every time that you buy something, you're creating value. You're actually creating a credit on the credit card company's account, okay, that they then send to the retailer who you just bought that from. And so you pay the retailer with your signature or your PIN number. The bank or the credit card company didn't actually create or give you any money of its own for that transaction, but you can bet that when your statement comes out, that they're going to actually ask you for that money back.
And there's people that have got out of these debts, haven't they?
I do it all the time, and I do it for friends, and I do it for large amounts of money.
What's the biggest amount you've managed to get completely wiped off?